Hi guys, Hounds Armory here, and today we're looking at Captain Slug's new blaster, the HYPR. At least I think that's how you say it. I'm never quite sure with his acronyms. This is his new elastic-powered hammer prime Springer blaster. I was super excited to get my hands on the parts kit, which is super cheap, by the way. So if you have your own printer and want to get into 3D printing blasters, I think this is a great place to start. I think the parts kit is something like $7 or $8, and shipping's not bad here in the US. Of course, overseas is going to be worse, especially now with the whole coronavirus thing. But print time, not bad. Like, it's a nice little blaster. The build is super easy. The build guide is super intuitive, like all of Captain Slug's things. And let's be honest, we love Captain Slug for two reasons. He makes cool things and he makes them easy to build. That being said, let's do a quick overview of the blaster. From the back, the grip is super comfortable. Up towards the top here with the trigger pull, it's a little small for my hands, but I do have very long fingers. It is very comfortable. It points well. I know Captain Xavier and a couple other people had complaints about the, I think it's the Whisper, which is the Captain Slug's Jolt-ish blaster, on how that it doesn't have a great sight picture and it's kind of hard to tell where you're aiming. I don't think this has any of the problems at all. And actually, if you would take this top rail off, and even if you leave it on, there's almost built-in sights, which just kind of sighting down and looking, I think works just fine. Of course, there is Picatinny rail on the top, and there is also a bottom part on Thingiverse now that you can put Picatinny rail on the bottom for all your tactical accessory needs. I don't know. But yes, it's a very, very comfortable blaster. It's super easy to build, unless you're an idiot like me and make a couple mistakes. So the first mistake I made was these side panels here. In the parts list, they're listed as, I think, grip left and right. I printed them at about 30% infill at first, and the cross pins that hold in the trigger, and especially the one with the hammer and sear part, started to bend and warp out, which caused it not to hold prime all the way back, and it didn't always catch, as well as the trigger not fully working. That was an easy fix. Just print them at it, I'd say at least 90% infill if your printer's wacky about doing high infills, but 100% infill is great. Also, the hammer and sear mechanism itself was pretty weak when I first got it, and it only holds on by like the tip of the angle, and so that rounded over within a couple shots when I first printed it. But so when I reprinted it, I took some CA glue, some super glue, and just put a little covering over that bit of the part. And now I haven't had any troubles. I've been playing with it in this configuration and one other configuration for about a week and a half now. I've had no problems. This is kind of my new favorite. I'm sitting there doing something on my laptop and just like plinking at pictures on the wall blaster. It's super comfortable, pretty lightweight if you print it at about 30, most of the parts at about 30% infill, which is what I did. Of course, with the hammer, the trigger, and the side plates at 100% infill. That being said, let's talk about power. Now, I don't have a chronograph, so all I can tell you is just by looking, it's getting about a little better than stock Elite performances, I'd say. This does use not the whole plunger volume just because of the mechanic, and if you put in the solid, or I think it's called the flat plunger, and cut the barrel down, you are definitely going to get more power. But I have the full-length barrel in with the cavitied plunger head in because I use full-length darts most of the time. And with the elastics, I'm just using one, looped twice around the hammer. For ease of prime, yes, you get a whole lot more power as soon as you put the second one on. I know people have gotten close to 100, 110 feet per second with both elastics up over the hammer. But I found at that point I couldn't prime it well, and especially for my playstyle, I like to move fast. I like to get in close because I don't really have that many high power blasters, given that I build most of my things focused on HVZ. I'm much more likely to enjoy and use something that is easier to use on a prime than something that has a little bit more power and a little bit more range. That being said, if you like the higher power and you can prime it fine, it's pretty fun at high power because you don't expect it out of this small of a package. That being said, it is only a single shot and it's hammer primed, so you want more than one shot. So I did a thing. Alright, so now for the fun stuff. Let's see what I did to this thing. And I just want to apologize to Captain Slug. I took your beautiful blaster and put something ugly on the front. This is my modded HYPR. I took the Alpha Strike, I think it's the Fang Smart AR system, and just slapped it on the front. I did print out a new front portion, so this isn't my original one with the barrel in it. Basically, my whole thought was, if you're gonna have something hammer primed, you are gonna want more than one shot. So why not a Smart AR system? And as you can see there, it's not the most reliable thing ever. And so this is kind of just a proof of concept build. It's very fun. Like I said before, the HYPR's very comfortable and very fun to use. And again, I'm just so shocked at how quiet it is, given that there's not a spring system. That was, like I said, my first reaction. That being said, this is a very fun mod, and I might put some more work into it into the future. I may have too good of a seal going for the Smart AR system, at least for this one. I went through with just some JB Weld plastic bonder and sealed up all the parts for the Smart AR system so that it's got a pretty good seal for a Smart AR system, which of course is leaky by nature. But if I was going to revisit this, I want to try to find a messenger and use that Smart AR system because I've heard it does magical things. Never gotten my hands on one. Or I might just revisit this, but instead of just adding a little plate to the front piece of the HYPR to give more surface area for glue, I might actually try to build out a whole housing like this part here, just so it's a little more secure and a little less wobbly and maybe a little more airtight. I'm not really sure, but please let me know in the comments if you want to see further development of this project. I'm very tempted just to put the single barrel back on and just leave it as is because it's a very fun little plinker and it holsters very nicely. That being said, thanks so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.